She wouldn't turn off her phone. What happened next left the whole plane in shock. They say rules can keep you safe, but when they strip away your dignity, you're no longer safe at all. This wasn't just about a phone. This was about a woman, a rule, and a crew who took things so far. The world is still talking about it. Before you decide who's right and who's wrong, hear the whole story. It might just change the way you see power and the people who have it. Where are you watching from? Tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our stories go. And if you believe in real stories that make you think, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stay with us until the end. It starts with a quiet hum, the low, steady drone of passengers settling into their seats. The air inside the cabin is a mix of recycled oxygen, faint perfume, and the distant scent of brewed coffee from a galley. At seat 14A, a woman named Amelia sits pressed against the window, clutching her phone like it's her lifeline. Her dark curls are pinned up in a messy bun, a pair of simple gold studs at her ears. She looks tired, the kind of tired that lives deep in the eyes. The seatbelt sign hasn't lit yet. The crew are making their rounds, smiles fixed, but eyes sharp. A young flight attendant named Claire approaches, crouches slightly to be on Amelia's level, and says softly, "Ma'am, we're preparing for takeoff. Could you please switch off your phone now?" Amelia nods, but she doesn't move. Her thumb hovers over the screen. On that screen is an incoming text message from her sister. "He's not breathing well. The ambulance just arrived." Her heart drops into her stomach. She types back with shaking fingers, "I'm boarding now. Keep me updated, please." Claire is still there, waiting. Her smile is thinning. "Ma'am, I really need you to switch it off now." Amelia glances up. "Just give me 1 second," she whispers. Her voice isn't defiant. It's pleading. Rows around her start to shift. A man 2 seats back leans forward, pretending to read the safety card, but really listening in. Someone across the aisle glances over, their expression caught between curiosity and irritation. Claire straightens, walks away, but comes back a minute later with another crew member. Taller, older, a man named Ethan, whose expression is less patient. "Ma'am, we've asked you twice." Ethan says, "You need to turn it off now, or we will have to..." But before he can finish, Amelia's phone buzzes again. Her eyes dart to the message. They're taking him to emergency. We don't know if... She doesn't even read the rest. Her chest tightens, a sharp, hot pressure building behind her ribs. "I just need a minute," she says again. Ethan exhales sharply. This is not optional. A few rows ahead, a man in a navy blazer slowly raises his phone and begins recording. At first it's subtle, the camera angled like he's checking a text, but then he tilts it, framing Amelia, the crew, the small standoff brewing in the middle of the cabin. The recording catches her voice, trembling but firm. "I'm not ignoring you, I'm just..." Ethan cuts her off. "If you don't comply, we'll have to call security." The man in the blazer smirks, as if he's about to capture a piece of viral gold. The murmurs start small. What's the hold up? Why can't you just follow the rules? People like this delay everyone. Amelia hears every word. She feels their eyes on her like weight on her skin. She swallows hard, tucks the phone into her lap, but doesn't switch it off. Claire leans in one last time, her voice tight. "Please, ma'am, don't make this harder." The captain's voice crackles over the PA, announcing a minor delay. There's a ripple of groans. Amelia sits frozen, the phone warm in her hands. Her sister still hasn't replied. That's when Ethan leaves and returns with 2 uniformed airport security officers. One stands in the aisle, blocking her view forward. The other leans in from behind, close enough that she can feel his breath on her shoulder. "Ma'am, you're being asked to leave the aircraft." The air around her shifts. The buzz of conversation grows louder, sharper. Amelia blinks. "What? No, I didn't do anything wrong. I just needed..." The officer cuts her off. "We're not here to argue. Stand up and come with us." A camera phone in the next row snaps up like a gun barrel. She sees the red recording light. She feels her stomach drop. "No," she whispers. "Not like this." But it's already happening. One officer grips her arm, not hard enough to hurt, but enough to make her flinch. Her bag tips over, spilling a water bottle and a paperback novel into the aisle. The man in the blazer adjusts his angle, capturing everything. Amelia stumbles as she's guided toward the front of the plane. Her wig, a simple, neat piece she wears over her natural hair, shifts slightly. She reaches up to fix it, but someone grabs her other arm and her hand falls away. She hears laughter. Not loud, but sharp. Someone says, "Guess we got our entertainment before takeoff." Her phone buzzes again in her palm, but she can't look. She's being moved too fast. Her chest is tight, her ears ringing. Claire stands near the galley, watching with an expression Amelia can't read. The aisle feels longer than it did when she boarded. Faces blur, voices echo, and then the flash of daylight as the cabin door opens. The jet bridge is cold compared to the cabin. She's led down toward the terminal, still gripping her phone like it's the only thing tethering her to reality. She catches a reflection in the glass. Her wig askew, her blouse rumpled, eyes wide. Passengers inside the plane are still filming through the windows. Her humiliation is no longer confined to this flight. It's going to be on a stranger's screen before she even gets home. In the terminal, one of the officers says something into his radio. The other stands watch, his gaze fixed somewhere over her shoulder. Amelia's phone finally slips from her hand, clattering against the floor. She bends to pick it up and sees the latest message from her sister. He's in surgery. They don't know if he'll make it. Her breath catches. She stands there, shaking, the weight of the last 10 minutes pressing down like a storm cloud. And for the first time since she boarded, she feels the heat of anger rising through her fear. Amelia doesn't remember the moment they told her she was being detained for questioning. All she remembers is the sound of her own pulse in her ears, and the strange way the airport floor seemed to tilt as they led her toward a small, glass-walled security room. Inside, it smells faintly of stale coffee and disinfectant. There's a table, 3 chairs, and a camera in the corner with a blinking red light. The younger officer gestures for her to sit. She does, slowly, clutching her phone like it might vanish if she lets go. The older officer closes the door, takes a seat across from her, and starts speaking in a measured, official tone. "Ma'am, you were removed from the aircraft for failing to comply with crew instructions. That is a violation of aviation safety protocols." Her voice comes out raw. I told them I just needed 1 minute." The older officer doesn't respond. Instead, he pulls a small notepad from his pocket. "Name?" "Amelia Brooks." "Date of birth?" She gives it. "Reason for refusing to turn off your phone?" Her hands are trembling now. "My nephew, he's in surgery. I didn't know if he was going to make it. My sister was texting me updates." The younger officer shifts uncomfortably in the corner. The older one keeps writing, while they take her statement. The first wave of her humiliation is already out there. The man in the navy blazer has uploaded his 47-second clip to a social media platform with the caption, "Unruly woman refuses to follow simple instructions. This is what happens." Within 20 minutes, the video has been reposted to 3 different accounts, each adding their own spin. Entitled flyer gets what she deserves. People like this make flying miserable. This is why we can't have nice things. Not one mentions why she was on her phone. An hour later, Amelia is released from the room without charges, for now, and escorted to the public terminal. She's told she won't be flying with that airline again until the matter is reviewed. No one asks if she has another way to get to her destination. No one asks if her family is okay. She walks to a bench near the food court, sits down, and finally opens her phone fully. Her sister has sent 7 messages in the last hour, plus 1 missed call. They just started the surgery. "I'm scared. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? Please tell me you're okay. He's still in there. The doctors said it's complicated. I can't do this alone." Amelia types back, "I'm still at the airport. They pulled me off the plane." Her sister's reply comes almost instantly. "For what?" She stares at the screen. How do you explain something that already feels like a nightmare you can't wake up from? That night, she takes a bus, 8 hours across the state to reach the hospital. By the time she arrives, her nephew is out of surgery and in recovery. The relief is immediate, but it's laced with something darker. Because even as she holds a small, warm hand, she knows the internet is tearing her apart. 2 days later, her phone rings. It's her friend Marcus, who works in media. Amelia, you've seen the video, right? I've tried not to. Well, it's everywhere. And it's not just the original clip. People are stitching it, adding commentary, making jokes. Even a morning radio show picked it up. Her stomach sinks. What are they saying? He hesitates. You don't want to know. Tell me. They're calling you entitled. Dramatic. Some are saying you attacked the crew. Her mouth goes dry. That's not what happened. I know, but you need to understand. Online, the first version people see becomes the truth. If you don't speak up, that's the story that sticks. By the end of the week, the video has over 2 million views. A stranger sends her a direct message. You're a disgrace. Hope you get banned from flying forever. Another writes, imagine risking everyone's safety because you can't put your phone down. She deletes the social media apps from her phone, but the damage is already done. Her name is being shared, her face turned into memes. Then, something unexpected. A law firm reaches out, offering pro bono representation. The attorney, a woman named Rachel, meets her in a quiet cafe near the hospital. Rachel has the kind of presence that makes you feel like she's already 10 steps ahead of the room. I've seen the video, Rachel says, sliding a tablet across the table. But I've also seen the full security footage from the airport, and it tells a very different story. Amelia leans in. What do you mean? Rachel taps the screen. The video shows the moments before the now viral clip. The crew speaking to her, her visibly distressed face, the phone in her hand, the message notification lighting up the screen. It shows her standing reluctantly, being guided toward the front, not fighting, not shouting, just holding her phone and looking like she's barely holding it together. This was a dignity violation, Rachel says. You were filmed while consent, humiliated in public. And the airline let that narrative run wild without context. For the first time since the incident, Amelia feels a flicker of something that isn't fear, it's resolve. What do we do? She asks. Rachel smiles slightly. We change the story. A week later, the law firm issues a public statement. Our client was in the middle of a family medical emergency when she was removed from the aircraft. She was unlawfully filmed and publicly shamed. This is not just a matter of airline policy. It's a matter of human dignity. The statement circulates online, but the comments are split. Some people are moved. Others double down. She's just making excuses. Everyone has emergencies. Doesn't mean you can break rules. Rachel warns her. This will get uglier before it gets better. But the more we push the truth, the harder it will be for them to ignore it. And then something happens that neither of them saw coming. A passenger from the same flight reaches out privately. Her name is Danielle, and she sends a message that reads, I was sitting 3 rows behind you. I saw what happened. If you want a statement, I'll give one. Amelia meets Danielle in person 2 days later. Danielle is in her 40s with a calm, steady voice. They made it sound like you were shouting or causing a scene, but you weren't. You were quiet. Too quiet, actually. I could tell something was wrong. Her eyes hardened. The way they handled you was unnecessary. And I know for a fact when the crew laughed, when your wig shifted. Amelia feels heat rise in her cheeks, shame, anger, all tangled together. Would you be willing to say that publicly? Danielle nods. I already drafted my statement. The pieces are shifting now. Rachel begins assembling a case that isn't just about Amelia's incident. It's about the broader issue of public shaming in moments of vulnerability. She cites previous airline scandals in the U.S., the UK, and Canada, drawing parallels that resonate far beyond Amelia's city. But the airline isn't backing down. They released their own statement. Passenger was removed for non-compliance with crew instructions in line with aviation safety regulations. We will continue to prioritize the safety and comfort of all passengers. They don't mention the filming. They don't mention the medical emergency. By now, Amelia understands what Marcus meant. The first version of the story is the one people remember. If she doesn't fight harder, that's the version her nephew will one day find if he searches her name. So she agrees to the next step, a televised interview. Rachel warns her. They'll try to corner you. Stay calm. Tell the truth. And remember, you have nothing to apologize for. The studio is bright. The light's hot against her skin. The host opens with a viral clip, then turns to Amelia with a raised eyebrow. Why didn't you just turn off your phone? Amelia takes a breath, feeling every camera lens on her. Because on the other end of that phone was my sister, and she was telling me my nephew might not survive the next hour. That's why. The studio is silent for a beat, and then the host leans forward. And when they removed you from playing, her voice doesn't shake this time. They didn't just remove me. They stripped me of my dignity in front of a plane full of strangers and the entire internet. That clip, not the original, is the one that starts going viral now. But the airline isn't done, and the next move they make will take this from a PR battle to a legal war. By the time Amelia's interview finishes airing, her phone is vibrating nonstop on the cab ride home. Some of the messages are warm. Strangers offering support, sharing their own stories of humiliation in public. Others are sharp, almost venomous. You're just playing the victim. If you had followed the rules, none of this would have happened. Rachel had warned her about the split. For every person who stands with you, there will be one who wants to tear you down. But Amelia notices something new. The balance is shifting. Her side of the story is finally catching traction. Journalists are calling Rachel's office. Podcasts want interviews. And then she gets a direct message from someone she never expected, a flight attendant from the same airline, who says only, I wasn't on your flight, but I saw the crew's private group chat. You need to see what they said about you. Rachel meets Amelia at her office the next morning. The message includes screenshots, crew members joking about the phone lady, sharing the video before it even went public, and one comment that makes Rachel's jaw tighten. Glad someone got on camera. She's going to make a great example. This, Rachel says, tapping the screen, changes everything. How? It shows intent. Not just that they didn't stop the filming. They encouraged it. That a direct violation of both privacy and dignity protections. And if we can prove the airline knew and ignored it, she pauses, a small smile tugging at her lips. We have them cornered. 2 days later, Rachel files a lawsuit, not just for Amelia's incident, but for systemic misconduct, unlawful filming of passengers, deliberate public shaming, and negligence in handling a medical emergency situation. The filing hits the news cycle like a thunderclap, and with it comes the next wave of public attention, louder, sharper, and harder for the airline to control. At first, the airline doubles down. They release a statement to the press. We categorically deny any wrongdoing. Our crew acted in accordance with standard safety procedures. But this time, the narrative doesn't stick, because now, Danielle's eyewitness account is making the rounds. And people aren't just seeing Amelia as the woman who refused to turn off her phone. They're seeing her as a human being, a niece trying to stay connected during a family emergency. The shift is visible. News anchors start using softer language. Social media threads begin to fill with words like unnecessary and heavy-handed. The viral clip is now being posted alongside the new context. And suddenly, those who mock her are either deleting their comments or defending themselves with, I didn't know the whole story. But then, the airline plays its next card. Rachel calls Amelia one afternoon, her voice low and serious. They've filed a countersuit. For what? Defamation. They're claiming your public statements have damaged their reputation. Amelia laughs, a short, humorless sound. They dragged me through an airport in front of 100 people. Let me be humiliated online by their own staff. And I'm the one damaging their reputation? Rachel doesn't smile. This isn't about winning that claim. It's about intimidation. They're trying to scare you into backing down. The pressure is relentless. Amelia's face is back on TV, back on social media. But this time, every move she makes is under a magnifying glass. If she posts a photo of herself smiling at her nephew's birthday, someone comments, doesn't look too traumatized to me. Marcus, her media-savvy friend, sits her down one evening. You need to stop reading the comments, he says. Every time you scroll, you give them more power. She nods, but she can't help it. The part of her that still wants to defend herself, to correct every lie, won't let go. One night, unable to sleep, she searches her own name again. Buried 3 pages deep in the search results, she finds a shaky cell phone video she hasn't seen before. It's only 14 seconds long, filmed from the back of the plane, and it captures something the other videos didn't. Ethan, the senior crew member, leaning toward the man in the navy blazer and nodding at his phone before the recording starts. Her heart rate spikes. She rewinds it, watches again. It's subtle, but it's there. Permission, maybe even encouragement. The next morning, she sends it to Rachel with the subject line, "You need to see this." Rachel is already building the case around the crew chat screenshots, but this video is the missing puzzle piece. This shows coordination, she says. They weren't just letting it happen, they were involved. She adds it to the evidence file. The court date is set for 6 weeks out. In the meantime, the pressure cooker of public opinion keeps boiling. Amelia starts receiving emails from strangers sharing their own stories of being mistreated by airlines. A man denied boarding because of his accent. A woman humiliated over a seating dispute. A teenager filmed while crying on a flight. It's bigger than her now, and she feels the weight of that. One rainy evening, she meets Danielle again in a quiet corner of a coffee shop. They're going to keep pushing, Danielle warns. Even if you win, they'll try to make sure you're remembered for this, not for anything else. Amelia stirs her tea. Then I guess I need to win in a way they can't erase. Rachel agrees. This isn't just about damages. It's about setting a precedent, making it clear that humiliation is not a tool for discipline. But the airline isn't the only one watching. An investigative journalist from a major UK outlet reaches out to Amelia. They've been digging into the airline's record and found at least 4 other cases of passengers being filmed during confrontations and having those clips surface online within hours. The pattern is undeniable. When the article drops, it explodes across Twitter and Facebook. The headline reads, "Airline under fire for passenger privacy violations. Former staff claim culture of public discipline." Former employees go on record, describing a practice of making examples out of passengers who push back against crew instructions, filming them, leaking footage, letting public shaming do the rest. For the first time, Amelia isn't just one story in the news. She's the face of a growing movement. But with just 2 weeks until trial, Rachel warns her again, they're cornered. That makes them dangerous. Expect them to pull something last minute. Amelia nods, but she's not prepared for how far they'll go. Because 3 days before the trial, a new video surfaces. This one, clearly edited, shows only her refusal, her shaking head, and the moment an officer touches her arm. The captions read, "Aggressive passenger removed for safety." It's a lie, carefully crafted to erase the context, and it's being pushed by accounts that look suspiciously like PR plants. Amelia calls Rachel, panic rising in her voice. They're trying to rewrite it again. Rachel's voice is calm but steely. Then we remind them, the truth doesn't go away just because they don't like it. As the trial date closes in, the stakes are no longer just about one woman's dignity. They're about whether an entire system built on authority and public shaming can be held accountable. And Amelia knows the next time she steps into a courtroom, it won't just be the airline's eyes on her. It will be the world's. The courthouse smells faintly of varnish and paper. Sunlight pours through tall windows, cutting gold bars across the floor. Amelia sits beside Rachel at the plaintiff's table, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. She's wearing a navy dress, hair pulled back, no wig, her choice, her statement. The room is full. Journalists line the benches, their cameras waiting for permission to click. A cluster of strangers has shown up, holding small signs that say "Dignity First," and passengers are people too. The airline's lawyers file in crisp suits, polished shoes, eyes darting toward the press. Behind them, Ethan, the senior crew member, walks in without glancing at Amelia. His jaw is set, his expression unreadable. The judge enters. Everyone rises. The trial begins. Rachel opens with calm precision. This case, she says, is not about whether safety procedures matter. We all agree they do. This case is about what happens when those procedures are enforced without humanity, and when humiliation becomes a tool instead of a consequence. She outlines the facts: the medical emergency, the removal, the unauthorized filming, the crew group chat, the viral clip stripped of context. When it's the airline's turn, their lead attorney stands. This passenger was non-compliant. Our crew acted within the scope of their duties to ensure the safety and timely departure of all on board. The filming was incidental. We had no control over bystanders' actions. Rachel's eyes flash. She knows exactly where to press. The first witness is Danielle. She walks to the stand with steady steps and sits, meeting the jury's eyes as she swears to tell the truth. She recounts what she saw: Amelia's quiet demeanor, her visible distress, the way crew members exchanged looks before calling security. No one asked why she was on her phone. Danielle says, no one cared. They just wanted her off that plane. The airline's attorney tries to rattle her. Miss Carter, isn't it possible you misread the situation? Danielle's reply is sharp. I know the difference between a threat to safety and a woman trying not to cry. Next, Rachel calls the anonymous flight attendant who sent the crew chat screenshots. Their face is blurred on the courtroom screen, voice altered. The messages appear for the jury to read. The jokes, the comments, the clear satisfaction in watching Amelia's removal. Rachel asks, in your professional opinion, was there any legitimate operational reason for sharing this footage among staff? The voice through the speaker is steady. No, it was entertainment, plain and simple. Then comes a video Amelia found, the one showing Ethan nodding to man in the navy blazer before recording began. Rachel plays it in slow motion. The courtroom watches Ethan glance toward the camera, give the faintest nod, then turn back to Amelia. Rachel pauses the frame. This is not incidental filming. This is coordination. The airline's attorney objects. Speculation. The judge overrules. The jury will decide how to interpret the evidence. Finally, Amelia takes a stand. Rachel's voice softens as she begins. Tell us, in your own words, why you didn't turn off your phone that day. Amelia swallows, looks at the jury, and tells them about her nephew, the seizure, the ambulance, the surgery. The fear that if she turned off that phone, she might miss his last breath. Her voice trembles, but she doesn't look away. I didn't refuse because I thought I was above the rules. I refused because my family needed me in that moment more than anything else in the world. And for that, I was dragged out in front of strangers and broadcast to millions. When Rachel asks what she wants from this case, Amelia's answer is simple. I want this to stop happening. To me, to anyone. The airline's attorney cross-examines her with clipped questions. Miss Brooks, do you believe safety regulations should be optional? No. I believe they should be applied with compassion. And you admit you didn't comply with the crew's instructions? I admit I didn't comply as quickly as they wanted, because I was terrified. The attorney presses harder. But Amelia holds her ground. She is no longer the woman in that aisle, shrinking under the weight of stares. Closing arguments come 2 days later. Rachel's voice fills the room. We are told that rules keep us safe. But rules enforced without empathy can harm more than they protect. My client was not a threat. She was a human being in crisis. And instead of compassion, she was made a spectacle. If we allow this to stand, we tell every passenger in every seat that dignity is optional. The airline's attorney responds with polished detachment. This case is not about feelings. It is about protocol. If we start making exceptions, we jeopardize safety for everyone. The jury deliberates for 6 hours. When they return, the foreperson stands. In the matter of Brooks versus SkyConnect Airlines, we find in favor of the plaintiff. A ripple moves through the courtroom. Amelia grips Rachel's hand as the verdict continues. Damages awarded: $3.2 million for emotional distress, loss of dignity, and privacy violations. But it's the next part that makes Amelia's breath catch. In addition, we mandate the defendant airline to implement new passenger privacy policies and prohibit the filming or distribution of footage without express consent. Ethan doesn't look at her as they leave. The airline's lawyers pack up quickly, avoiding the cameras outside. In the hallway, reporters swarm. Rachel speaks first. This case was never just about one passenger. It was about the right of every person to be treated with dignity, even in moments of conflict. Today, we set that standard. When they turn to Amelia, she says only, "I hope no one ever has to feel the way I did that day." Weeks later, Amelia is on a different flight, a short trip to visit her sister and nephew, who's fully recovered now. As the safety announcement plays, she switches off her phone without being told. The attendant smiles and moves on. And for the first time since that day, Amelia feels the air clear around her. Moral of the story: rules are meant to protect us. But dignity is what makes protection worth having. When authority forgets that, it stops serving the people it's meant to protect. Where are you watching from? Tell us in the comments. We love seeing how far our stories go. And if you believe dignity should never be optional, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share this story. Let's make sure it never happens again.